Well, listeners, if you tuned into our last episode, you know that we were preparing for the 32nd annual Comanche Nation Fair. And one of those duties was inviting a few honored guests, whom we have one of them here with us today. He decided to come and chat with me. So, Devin, thank you for coming onto the pod today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, I'd like to start about the weekend. So, how did the fair go for you?
It went awesome. I've never been to the South Midwest. I've always been up north in like South Dakota, North Dakota. And so coming down here, I was like, there's no expectations. Came down here and I was treated good by Asa and his wife, Madonna. And so we were being told a bunch of stuff like, oh, you're going to have fun, this, that, a bunch of other stuff too. And it was just fun. You know, I got to participate in that 49 the other night on Saturday.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I've never done that before because I'm pretty sure they don't have that up north in the Powwows up there. That must be like an Oklahoma thing or something.
Maybe a Comanche thing?
Yeah, maybe a Comanche thing, but it was fun just to hear everyone knowing the songs and just knowing the language too. And I was just like, dang, this is awesome. So I had fun.
So what all did you, I know that you were in the parade and you did a meet and greet. Tell us a little bit about that.
The parade was fun. It was me and Chani on the back of a truck with Asa as well. Mm-hmm. Just going through there and seeing all those kids just happy, just recognizing Jimmy, recognizing Bryson. It was fun, man. I've never done a parade yet since Rez Ball came out, and we're on like a year and 2 days now. Mm-hmm. And just the fact that, you know, there's still buzz about it, even though it's a year ago, I felt good about it. And just seeing those kids all happy and everything, and just seeing a bunch of Comanche families out there, just felt good for my spirit. As for the meet and greet, though, I heard people were waiting 2 hours.
Really?
And I was like, dang, 2 hours? And they're like, yeah. I was like, you're lying. And she's like, no, I'm serious. I was like, you're lying to me. And she's like, no, I'm serious. I was like, oh, okay. You're not lying. And so just to see all those families, those mothers, those aunties, those uncles, those fathers, those kids, it felt good just because it's like, you know, even though it was like supposed to be, you know, in other words, like about us, like it really wasn't, you know, like seeing those kids and being there for them and just being able to be here, because some of those kids might not think like, oh, they're not going to come to Comanche. They're not going to come to Comanche Fair. Like, that's what it's all about for me, you know? So I had just a bunch of fun.
Yeah, and so for like a part of being into the Comanche world, Comanche Nation here in Lawton, Oklahoma, what are some things that you experience that maybe you probably don't usually experience up in the north?
A lot. Again, I'll say it again. I'll keep stressing it, but when I got here, Asa treated me good. Like everyone, not even just Asa, everyone was just treating me good. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's probably like a little like stigma where like your tribe doesn't really treat you that good. Maybe I'm biased to that, but like, you know, just coming out here and being treated good for once, not for once, but again, just being treated good. I was like, damn, like this is fun. I want to be here. And I mean, I extended my stay. Mm-hmm. I'm here till tomorrow morning, and just so being here was fun. Just that, the energy, the hospitality was just awesome. The 49 itself was something cool because I just kept hearing about it. I was like, you know what? I want to experience this. Let me get in this. Let me get immersed in this, and let me go out there. Let me participate, even though I don't know the songs or nothing like that. But let me just be a part of it. Let me experience it. And besides those two, I think just seeing a bunch of Comanches just come out. I don't think I've ever been at a powwow this big.
Really?
People will say Gather Nations is pretty big, which it obviously is. I went about like 3 years ago, but I think for like a specific tribe and not just a hub like Albuquerque, but like for a specific nation and tribe like Comanche, dude, it was awesome. You guys had cars going all the way to the freeway, and I was like, damn,
Every year.
So just seeing that, I was like, dang, this is awesome. Because up north, like I'm from Yakima Nation in Washington, South Central. We're about 11,000 members, so we're kind of small, but we're the biggest tribe in Washington. And so just seeing that, I was like, dang, like seeing people come together for, you know, powwow, for just, you know, the energy and the food and just all of the festivities that were going on. I just felt good. And so, yeah, I'd say those experiences for me.
Yeah, and then so with that, do you kind of maybe expect to want to come back on your own next year, maybe?
Oh, for sure. I'm already playing with Madonna and Asa. Like,
really?
Yeah, I'll come out here just whenever, throughout whatever time of the year, just because I love it so much. And yeah, looking forward to next year. And yeah, looking forward to next year. I think I might come next year, but other than that, this is awesome.
Well, that's good to hear because some of our celebrities from past years still they come on their own too every year. Some come for just for the meat pies, some come for the Indian tacos. Like we're like, you showed up again. They're like, yeah, because the food, the people, like the community and culture. It's just like you just immerse yourself into it when you're here all weekend. So I'm glad that you got to experience that too.
Yeah, me too. Thank
So you kind of mentioned you are from Washington. What parts of Washington are you from?
I come from the South Central area of Washington. I come from the Yakima Nation. I grew up there my whole life, but I'm also Pyramid Lake Paiute, which is in Nixon, Nevada. And so, but I grew up in Yakima my whole life. We're about 11,000 members. And so for me, I grew up in a small community called White Swan. But then our reservation's about 1.3 million acres. And so we have a valley floor on the east side, and that has a bunch of communities. And I'd say I'm from a lot of both, but I just come from a small community, from a big tribe. But yeah, that's where I come from. I actually have been staying in Seattle for the past 4 years now because I attend the University of Washington. Well, actually just graduated this past spring. But yeah, I'm definitely a Washingtonian at heart.
How is Washington? Like, ultimately, that's where I want to live.
For real?
I love, when I went up there for my birthday last year, I didn't want to come home. It was awesome. Like, the weather, the rain, everything.
Where'd you go?
So we were in Seattle and Kirkland, Washington.
So just like east of Seattle, kind of?
Yeah, it was probably like 25 minutes from Seattle.
Dude, Washington, like, Washington's home. Washington's beautiful. Washington's Washington. It's crazy because, like, I was telling a lot of people this, like, people thought I was Coast Salish. Have you ever heard of like Coast Salish art or patterns like that?
Maybe I have, but I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, if you've seen it, you'd be like, oh, okay, I recognize that sort of art, like a PNW sort of art.
Okay.
So like I was just telling people, oh, like I'm Coast Salish. I'm not Coast Salish, but I'm Yakima because Washington's like we have these Cascade Mountains, and so on the west side, that's where all the west side natives are from, and on the east side, that's where all the east side, obviously. So I'm considered an east side native of Washington, and so there's just a lot of natives up there, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different sort of ways of life up there. But Washington's so awesome. I'm glad you're saying that to me because a lot of people are like, I've never been to Washington. I don't think I'd go up that far up north, but it's like, no, you should because a lot of people do not want to leave. You know what I mean? But yeah, Washington's Washington. And it's home.
So with your, you said Yakima?
Yeah,
so you say it. Did you grow up in that culture? Like, did you do anything with your tribe growing up?
Yeah, it's to be asked that, it's like, oh dang, I'm really thinking like, yeah, but yeah, my entire life I was raised Yakima. I kind of grew up in the sweat house sort of. I started going to sweat when I was like about 11. We call it khuyach. And so I grew up in that way of life. I didn't really do powwows or nothing. I kind of just stuck to sports because I think you get to an age, and for me, I didn't obviously grow up doing it, but I got to an age where my parents were like, you're gonna do sports. So I was like, yeah, I'm all for it. Basketball, baseball, and football. So when it came to that, sports and that sort of medicine, I just stuck to sports. But obviously, I know my language enough. I can introduce myself. I went to the tribal Head Start in Wapato. I've always been around it, and I always will be forever. And so, yeah, thanks for asking me that. No one really asked me that, but yeah, I grew up Yakima my entire life.
Can you do your introduction now?
Yeah, sure. I'll just look at you. Inknash Waniksha, Shiaputunki, Devin Sampson Craig, Washnash Yakima Kanik, Goit Kadu Kanik, Washnash White Swan Kanik. Wow. That's like sort of the simple version, but if I really wanted to get down, I'd be like Washnash Wanachi Pump Kanik, Kuskin Puk Kanik, Kuwayan Pump Kanik, Goit Kadu Kanik, Ku Pialup Kanik, Ku Suquamish Kanik. Yeah.
Wow.
So I just named all the bands I come from, and
okay.
I come from the White Swan community. Tachpanishpa Kanik. Hello, my English name is Devin Sampson Craig, and yeah, Shachmaitski, Shachwetchwai. Good morning, good day. Yeah, so I do know my language.
You do?
Yeah.
I'm like literally sitting with that's so cool because I've, growing up here, I wasn't super immersed into our Comanche culture, unfortunately. But now that I work here, I'm constantly trying to learn about our language and things like that. And it's kind of difficult to go from English and then trying to speak Comanche. How is that for you, learning that language?
For the most part, it's healing. It's definitely good for my spirit. But again, I think that every modern day Indian just struggles with it just because, especially Gen Z, like any generation actually, just considering the gruesome history we have of it, just being oppressed and everything. But
right.
So I grew up in a small community, but with the social media and everything, I was so easily influenced and so easily impressed to not really care. And so I didn't really start really like caring for it and wanting to learn it until I was about 19 when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
I took a AIS class where I learned about everything. You know, I on the reservation, I'm not being told like, oh, this, that, or you don't really know your language because of this history, because of the just all the traumas. And so I said, you know what? I'm about 3 hours away from home. I'm alone. I can't go to sweat all the time. So what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
I can learn my language. I can get the dictionary. I can go to YouTube and just, and just take advantage of all the resources I have from whatever the tribes put up, whatever individuals have put up. And I'm going to do that. Or I'll just be self-taught. I'll just teach myself using the dictionary or just anything I can remember from growing up. And so that's what I really did. And ever since then, it's kind of just been straightforward. Like, I really want to be fluent. Here's another thing too. This might sound unrealistic, but when I have kids, I want to make sure like I'm speaking to them in my language.
Oh yeah,
for sure, because I don't want to. Because I myself, speak English pretty well, got it done. But like to have a kid and really think that far of it, like that's what keeps me going, what keeps me pushing.
Because I feel like once our language is lost, then our people are kind of lost. So I think it's important for the younger generation to want to continue that tradition and the language and things like that. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
love that. So you said that or I think maybe I read it. You left your city to go to college, correct?
Yeah.
What did you go to study?
I studied American Indian Studies at UW, and so that department there, it's a good department. It's a great department, actually. Like I said, I took an intro to American Indian Studies class my freshman year when I first got there, and just learning all about that. You're alone. You're just having someone really teach you about and just telling you for 10 weeks, like, oh, this is why. These are the reasons why you are the way that you are. The reasons why your people are the way that you are. So it was a big culture shock. I remember telling my dad, like, I can't do this. Like, this is hard. Just falling into depression in a sense. And so mental health issues and all that stuff. And just being my father, he's like, if you want to come back, come back. If that's not it for you, that's not it. But then eventually I was like, you know what? I got to stick this through. Like, I got to learn this, not just for myself, but for my family, for my sisters, for my older sister, my little sister, for my mom, for my grandparents, anyone and everyone that I touch, cross paths with. But so after that class, I took it serious, declared my major. I was like, this is what I'm going to study. And so all 4 years, that's what I studied. I stuck true to it. And yeah.
Did you always have that passion? Is that what you originally wanted to go to college for?
No. So I'm 22 years old. And so my class was 2021 of high school. And so that was the COVID year. And in Washington, we're such a blue state that you guys weren't going to have sports at all. So we had 6 weeks for each season beginning in March. And we didn't go to school that entire time. I was online the entire time.
Oh, wow.
So I was just like, dang, I really wanted to go to college to play baseball or basketball. And so football came around and I broke my ankle.
Oh, no.
And I was like, dang, I don't know what I want to do. And then UW's like, all right, we want to accept you. And UW's like, over in Washington, it's like a nice, pretty big school, prestigious school. And so I took that. I was like, oh no, I gotta go. Like, I love sports. I love every sport. I love basketball and everything. But like, no, this is my sign to go. So, no, at first it was just sports. I wanted to just play sports. But like, I was like, no, this is my sign. I gotta go to UW.
And obviously it worked out for you. Like you loved it. So
yeah, for sure.
So now I kind of want to get into moments of when you decided to start acting. So obviously everyone knows you from Rez Ball, and I did see that you did one other movie.
A little short film.
A short film.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that world?
This journey of acting and everything's been a long time coming. I'll just start where it started. I moved in with my dad when I was about 12. Doing that, going from a single mother to a single father, it was like, dang, like the transitioning was different. And at first, my dad was like, I'm going to take you to a play. And just being a little kid that's getting used to his dad, I was like, I don't want to go to no play. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to the Tribe's multimedia workshop. So I ended up doing it, but then I was in a play, and so that's considered acting, and I didn't really know that until he told me. So I did that. I kind of liked it. I remember liking it. I was like, oh, this is fun. Not knowing that really, like age 12 though. And then that happened, but then 14 came around. My dad asked me to be in a short film. He didn't even really ask me. I'm his son, so he's like, hey, we're gonna do this short film. And I'm like, all right, bro, let's do it then. Like, I got practice, but let's do it. I didn't really want to do it. So we did this short film called Guardian Ancestor by my dad, Ryan H. Craig. And so we did that. That took like 2 days on a weekend before like my basketball jamboree. Cold in Yakima. And so it's just like our winters are pretty, they're not as bad over here in the Midwest, but they're pretty cold. And so I just remember like, what are we doing? Like, I don't want to do this. And so we did that. So then I did that. And over the years, I took a break without knowing it and just focused on sports. And then my freshman year, he wanted to do another short. My freshman year in college, he wanted to do another short film. We did that. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do this for my dad again. And then my sophomore year at school, my second year, he showed me the open casting audition on Instagram because I didn't have Instagram at the time. And I was like, what is this? He's like, you should do it. I was like, I'm not going to do it. He's like, why? I was like, I'm not going to get it. Like, well, what am I going to do it for? What's the whole point? Just get told no or not heard back from? Just do it. And I was like, all right, I'll just do it. Did this, took my phone around, took a headshot, sent my resume in. I'm like, oh, I'm 5'8". My name's Devin, whatever. Then they responded back, and me and my dad thought it was a scam. Like, this is a scam. What are they asking me all these questions for? They sent me the sides. I did my self-tapes and everything for Bryson. Then heard back almost instantly. We want to invite you to a call back here in Albuquerque. And then we were like, oh, no, something's up. And then they sent me the flight information. I was like, oh, dang, now this is real. So then I went there, all excited. I had the basketball part down, but then the acting kind of was like, this is going to be nervy, but I just got to do it, you know what I mean? And so then I did that, came back home. This is all while I'm doing like midterms at UW.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, this is all while I'm doing midterms. And
I could not.
And so at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hold off on midterms. I was taking like some simple classes and everything. And then I did that. I came back home. So Yakima and Seattle are about 3 hours apart. Okay. So then they had me flying into Yakima, but then I got to drive all the way to Seattle through the pass, through the mountains and everything. And the pass is pretty bad in the winter, obviously. Just stressed. Then they said, oh, we want to offer you the role. And I was like, for real? I'm half awake. Like, for real? You guys want to offer me the role? That's awesome. Thanks. And they're expecting me to be all happy and everything, which I was inside, but I was just like, oh, cool. Thanks, guys. Oh, is that it? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just waking up. And then so they offered me the role, and a week later, I ended up going there right away and stayed there for 2.5 months. The rest is, we're here today.
So how was the Rez Ball? I saw that you had to learn that language for that movie and kind of immerse yourself in that culture and learn everything about that. So how was that experience?
Scary. It was a privilege. It was an honor just because it's like, all right, like you guys wanted me to play Bryson. Like, I'm gonna take it serious. Like, oh, Bryson's supposed to be fluent because I was in the script, like fluent at Navajo, knows his ways, knows his Navajo ways of life. And I was like, dang, I'll do it. So then we did Navajo classes and lessons and everything, but I was the one staying back. Like, I got to stay back another 30 minutes, which I wanted to, but that language is hard. When I say hard, like that language is hard. They do a bunch of like different stuff with this. So going from my Yakima tongue to that, it was like, they were really patient with me, which I'm totally proud of. Rose was our instructor, and so Sydney, our director, and so they were really patient with me, even on set, because I wasn't memorizing everything like that, but it was awesome just because it's like, you know what? I love my language, you know what I mean? I love my way of life, so it's like, that would be horrible of me just to go out here and, you know, half-ass it and not really take it serious. So I took pride in it. Made sure that you let everyone know, like, I really care about this, so let's get this down. Everyone was patient with me. It was vice versa, and yeah, I had fun doing it.
What's your takeaway from the film? Like, just as a person, like, going into that and seeing all of this stuff and, you know, playing a role, what did you take away that you probably will keep with you forever?
I think going there and doing that, like, understanding, like, that what my studies were at school, and like me just trying to like walk that red road in my own way as a Yakima, I seen everything coming together, and like to have that role offered to me, I was like, what the heck? So everything's just coming together. Like once I started to like learn my language, think like a Yakima, act like a Yakima, be like a Yakima, like just started walking that red road, I started to see it flourish in a way. And I was like, if I keep practicing what I'm doing, like everything's gonna be healthy. I'm gonna heal. This like that itself was healing. And so holistically, I just felt a lot more better. And just to see the impact that it's had on every single person in any country, however they see it fit, that's healing itself, and it just makes me feel better. So what I could take from it was that it was just an overall experience of healing in a way, not just for myself, but for everyone. And to me, that's all that matters, is that how could someone heal from this? How could someone become aware of mental health issues? How could someone become aware of, how culture and language does help people come over and resist and just be resilient through hard struggles, like we have suicide in our country and just stuff like that. So that's probably what I would take from it.
Did mental health play a huge role in that movie? I did watch the trailer. Unfortunately, I haven't watched the movie yet, but I did see kind of that part in the beginning where someone passed, and it kind of like started the ball of rolling for that movie. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so like it's a young high school boys team that have to overcome the struggles of losing one of their star players due to suicide. And so how they do that is through the culture, through camaraderie, through brotherhood, through community, through language, and just overall being resilient and everything. And so throughout that entire film, I think everyone became aware, like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to hit a mental health aspect. So let's take it serious, and let's be proud of it. I think specifically for Bryson though, Bryson's character is like always talking smack. Is a young father, which is a reality. That's
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what my father was actually. Not with me, but my older sister. A young father, doesn't have his mother or his father in his life. Lost his father to suicide. And I say this because this is all realities. Like these are harsh realities that we have to live through. And so for Bryson, I knew that I need to make sure that, I'm advocating for everything. Like even though Bryson does drink in the movie, in the film and everything, like I need to make sure, like, how could I bring the message of like language and everything, culture and community is the way to overcoming those things. And so that was just for Bryson, but I think it'd have to be one of those things where you have to watch it to see for yourself.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it after this.
Okay, yeah.
I wish I had more time to watch it prior, but
yeah,
I'm definitely interested in watching it.
Yeah, I get it.
People to see what happens. Yeah. And so you talked about the importance of language and authenticity. Oh my goodness, authenticity. That word is so hard for me on set. Can you share a moment from Rez Ball when that happened or when that mattered?
Yeah, I can. Let me think. A moment of accurate representation and authenticity.
You said it so easy. I don't know why I can't say it that easy.
What was authentic on there? Everything pretty much was, but specifically for me, I think that maybe I'll be honest with you. There was one scene that was cut, and it was Bryson and Jimmy. So that was Cal Chani that was here also this weekend.
Okay.
There's a scene where I thought this was pretty accurate and pretty authentic because this is what happens, I think, all over Indian country. So when Antani passes, they're having to keep the fire going for 4 days to let his spirit, go to the spirit world or whatever. And so when that happens, they're keeping the fire going. They have to stay up all night. And so then Jimmy and Bryson are doing it. And I don't know why they cut this, but they cut it. And so Jimmy and Bryson are talking with each other, and Bryson's opening up like, yeah, bro, this kind of hurts because I lost my dad to this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And so if it was in the scene or in the movie, people would understand like who Bryson was and who Jimmy was, because Jimmy and Bryson kind of butt heads throughout the movie. But this was the point where it's like, we can get through this. Like, we just lost our brother, but let's just team up and let's just be brothers about it. I think that was accurate and authentic because it's like you do have those conversations all the time. Like I remember having those conversations like it was yesterday with my bros, and still to this day, where it's like there comes those times where you have to open up, and it's okay to open up. And that's what we seen and felt through Bryson and Jimmy in that film. And I think it was authentic because, like we talk about mental health and everything, like a lot of kids and boys specifically, men specifically, have this thing where it's like, oh, I don't want to open up. That's weak. That's not strong. But it's weak not to be honest. It's weak not to speak up. It's weak not to be honest with yourself and with others. That itself is weak. That itself is selfish. And so to see those two characters in that deleted scene just, open up with each other and come together, come to an agreement and bring everything to the surface for everyone, not just themselves, I think that was pretty much the best authentic scene we could do, even though no one has seen it. But it was fun that day to work with Shawnee doing that scene.
And so obviously this has made an impact on you after filming that movie and you being a huge advocate for suicide prevention, suicide awareness. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, how do you continue to try to push that out into the world, into our community and younger generation about the importance of it's okay not to be okay and we can figure it out?
I think that in the position I am, it's so easy and simple to think like, oh, how do I do it on this mass media platform? Like, how do I do it on Instagram, social media, whatever it may be? But I've noticed that it's the days and the nights where I start with myself. Am I going to tell my parents, my family, and the loved ones around me like how I'm feeling? Am I going to suppress myself and just be like, oh, it's all good. Like, I got this far without them. I don't need them. No, like, I start with myself first and make sure, like, you know what? I can't practice what I preach if I'm not doing it right now at 2:30 in the morning, at 11 a.m. in the morning. So I start with myself. But I always make sure anywhere I go, I'll tell those kids, like, you know what? Like, be proud. Like, there was a kid who introduced herself in Comanche on camera.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Hell yeah. Be proud of yourself. Be proud. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Numana.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was like, yeah, be proud to be Numana.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there you go. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Just doing those little things, those little remarks of like, be proud. Just these little positive affirmations, if you will. Mm-hmm. Just letting them know, like, you matter. Be proud. Be proud of your Lakota. Be proud of your Yakima. Be proud of your Apache. Be proud of your Dene. Anything. Because I've been all over for the past year, just going around.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely that. And it's not even just the youth. It's also people my age, people older. You know what I mean? They talk about, in that movie, I resonate with that so much. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that, you're able to see yourself in that space, in the movie, in that film in a way. And so I'm just glad that you could feel, but also remember that, you know what, we can get over these humps. This doesn't define us. It's a reality, but it doesn't define us, and let's not let it define us. And so, hell yeah, thank you for your words. Stuff like that. And so a lot of my stuff, if you will, is kind of in person, face to face, eye to eye, like it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. That's what it's all about, I think, for me. I think even traditionally, like, again, like that's what we are as Indian people. We talk. We have words for every little feeling that we have. And so, yeah.
So I'm sure you talked with Donnie about his program with prevention and recovery. Did you learn anything new? Is there anything that really stuck with you that you kind of want to discuss today when it comes to like sober living and, suicide prevention, the 988 program and things like that? Did y'all talk about that at all?
I only seen him for about 5 minutes every day. So
you were so busy.
But every single time I've seen him, it's always been great energy and positivity to where it's like, you know what, I want to get to know this guy a lot more. So any one of those, things I'd love to talk about. And even just hearing his story from my host Asa was just like, dang, like this is true. Like people can overcome things and obstacles that they faced in their life. And so again, that's kind of a side comment, but like, yeah, I'd love to learn.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our PIO director, Jolene Sconchin, about all the Comanche Nation upcoming events. We'll be right back.
Hamadat Weka Numana, Nese Jolene Sconchin, and I am the director of the Comanche Nation Public Information Office. Autumn has arrived, and there are many events happening in Comanche country the beginning of October, so please take note. The Family Assistance Center will host a Domestic Violence Awareness Month event, 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., October 8th at the Vista Building, located at 200 Southwest C Avenue in Lawton. The guest speaker is Ed Mosier, who is from the Oklahoma City Police Department's Domestic Violence Unit. Also speaking will be Shelley Miller, who is the director of the Native Alliance Against Violence. Call the Family Assistance Center for more information. The Comanche Tribal Court will have legal aid clinics 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on October 8th and October 15th. For more information, contact the Comanche Court. October 10th is Doc Tate Nevakoya Day. The Comanche tribe established this day in 1986 to celebrate it on the second Friday of October. The Indigenous Peoples Day powwow will take place 2 p.m. October 11th at Fort Sill Linden School on Laurie Tatum Road in Lawton. Arts and craft vendors are welcome. The 8th Annual Indigenous Peoples Day event will take place at 10 a.m. October 13th at the Lawton City Hall. Dr. Kelly Berry will be the guest speaker, as well as the recipients of their recognitions. New Pathways will have the Medicine Wheel and 12 Steps for Men and Women October 15th through 17th at Homewood Suites at 415 Southeast Interstate Drive in Lawton. For more information, contact the New Pathways program. The Comanche Nation Family Assistance Center will have a Domestic Violence in Indigenous Communities event 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. October 17th at Watchataker Hall at the Comanche Nation Complex. Due to the graphic content of the film, registration is restricted to individuals who are 17 years and older. For more information, contact the Family Assistance Center. The Grasshoppers program will be in the Lawton area beginning the week of October 20th. Remember that the content and application information about the programs I mentioned can be found at the Comanche Nation website, ComancheNation.com. Also, look at the Comanche Nation News Facebook page and the Comanche Nation of Oklahoma Facebook page about the events and activities. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Reporting for the Comanche Nation PIO News, Nesse Jolene Sconchen. Ura.
Okay, so I want to continue discussing the importance of mental health awareness. You kind of mentioned, growing up, and at times you kind of went through a little bit of depression. How did you manage that? And are there things you do now to keep you kind of from falling back into that depression?
Yeah, I think when I was, the age of 18 or 19, it really was sort of that identity crisis, like going from a small community, just where I'm around a bunch of natives and also Hispanics because of the large agricultural world that we have over there in Yakima. But even just natives for sure, like going from that to UW, where it's like we count up of less than 1% of the student population, the biggest culture shock I've ever had in my life so far. And so it was definitely a defining moment of like, and in real life words, like, do I assimilate? Do I find a way to go fit into the, societal norms of UW, or do I just, find out who I am and be proud of who I am? And so I remember, again, like I said, just finding a way to get back to my language, to get back to my ways of life from afar. And ultimately, when you're from afar, it's like it's so hard, and language can only get you so far. But it was also a way of thinking, like, how would a Yakima think? How would Kamaikan? How would Alchai think? And those are some of our ancestors who signed the Treaty of 1855. And so how would those people think, And so I think for me, even growing up, naturally, I've always been around my elders a lot. Like I grew up with both my grandparents on both sides of my family. And so I think for me, that was a big advantage too, of just like, anytime I feel down, anytime I'm feeling good, I'm just always around my elders expressing like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Dang, this is what I'm going through, blah, 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 blah. And so I've always had my elders in my life, to guide me. So I think when I was 18 or 19, that defining moment of latching on to what I do have and finding a way of like, how could I grow that for myself? How could I take advantage of the resources I do have in my life, which was my grandparents, both of my parents, even just community members, other elders. And so that's kind of how I pivoted my way of like, I'm going to keep these things and also grow these things and make sure they stay strong. And this is my foundation. And I'm so proud of my foundation. So, yeah.
So now you have a media presence. Obviously, you got huge feedback from the Rez Ball movie. And so when it comes to social media, we kind of have an identity crisis with our Native American youth because they tend to say, oh, I want to look a certain way or I want to be a certain way. And they really don't fall back into like their native culture. And now that you have this social media platform to talk to them and kind of let them know it's okay to be Native, it's okay to be who you are, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say just that. Like, you know what? I'm not perfect, and I was like that at one point. You know, I was 18 about 4 or 5 years ago, and so for me, it was just like, for me to go from that to where I'm at now, it became this thing where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I would sit there and just be like, this isn't me. This isn't me. Well, who am I? What is me? So I went to go find that, and now that I have this presence, now that I have this influence, it just turns into this thing where I make sure that everything really is sort of calculated on social media, and so anything I do put out there. And at first, I always found it being like language revitalization. I would put my language on my stories and my bios and my captions and everything, and people would be like, what does that mean? Boom. There you go. Having a Yakima kid ask me, what does that mean? And sometimes they never ask what I mean, but they'll say it to me in person. Like, our word for let's go is auna, and our word for boy is us one. So I'll be like, auna, us one on a lot of my things, or I'll just put nichi kwetla, just, putting my language out there on the web, on the cloud or whatever. And so just to do that and start there for my first step, I feel like that's a good first step because it's making people remember, like, he's putting his language out there. Like, some may think that's cool, some may think it's weird, but it's like the biggest thing is to make people think. I think especially when they're on social media and everything, of just scrolling and all this instant gratification. And if I could stop you and make you think about, what the hell am I reading? What does that mean? Then boom, I got you. All for the better, all for the good, because it's like, that's where I'm starting right now anyway. And so it's like, if I can make someone else learn their own language or make someone else learn Yakima, I feel like that's a good step. And so, yeah, that's how I would go about that when it comes to a proud identity, especially culturally.
And for you to continue to advocate, like if you even thought about it for the future, what other plans do you have besides, this small start right here? What do you plan to build?
Like I've been telling you this entire time that we've been doing this, that I'm so infatuated with everything you guys got. You guys got tribal art, everything, you guys' language up here and all this cool equipment. So I think for me, obviously, I want to do something like this for my tribe, get a podcast going. And when it comes to media, I want to make sure like we're putting good media out there. I think for the younger generations, there's this culture, there's this wave going around of like just kind of appropriating sadness in a way. All of these edits and everything, and which is real. Like I'm kind of glad that what, like, everyone is aware that they are sad, but also be aware that what you put out there is like it's gonna affect you, and not just you but everyone else. And so I think for me, when it comes to any sort of media I want to make sure it's positive and healthy and inspiring in a way, and motivational, because I think that's what our youth really needs. Like, we're talking about identity crisis, we're talking about being easily influenced, and that's true. I think America and the Western world has a way of grabbing onto people, and just consumerism, and just making people be something they're not. Is like Dustin said, like, that itself is a disease, that itself is toxic. And so I think for me, if I can find any reason to just make sure it's opposite of that, then I'll do it. And so I think for me, that's what keeps me going. But as for plans and everything else, I definitely want to still act and find any role that's going to benefit me, but not just me, but also everyone else. And also just a podcast like this, man, that'd be awesome for me, I feel like.
Yeah. And so here at our prevention and recovery, we talked a couple episodes back about how their healing's a little bit different. They kind of use that holistic way of like sweating and, learning the language and going to powwows and things like that. Is that something that you kind of did, or you would kind of do in that healing when it comes to mental health and substance abuse and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up, like I said, I grew up on it when I was 12. And so I think ever since then, I'll be honest, like things have guided me away from that, school, moving here, projects, just life, having lived in two different worlds as a native, as an Indian. And so I'm not perfect. I'm not always on the red road, but I'm making sure that if I'm away from that, how could I sustain that identity within this world of like Nah, if I go into the American world, I'm not going to code switch. I'm going to be proud of like, you know what? No, I'm Native. I'm Yakima. I'm Kadukanik. And so it's like, I'm Pyramid Lake Paiute. And so I make sure that's always like my main way of thinking. But when it comes to the holistic health, and this is my opinion, when it comes to the holistic way of thinking and being, we as modern day natives have to understand that as much stuff that we go through and as much stuff that we have to persevere through, that we have to understand that we are living those two different worlds. We're not our ancestors 400 years ago, and we can't just practice only the spiritual way of life. And I tell my loved ones this all the time. It's like, you know what? Like, I love spirituality. I love it. That's what keeps us going as Native people. That's why we're here. All the prayers, the tears, the blood, everything that was sacrificed, that's why we're here. But we have to remember that our mental, our physical, and our emotional are just as important. My way of thinking is just as important as my spiritual way of life. The stuff I eat that goes into my body, this standard American diet, is just as toxic as growing up in a community that's not Native or Native friendly. And everything, like I said, is intertwined holistically. And so I think for me, if I was to tell the youth anything, is that you really do have to prioritize all four of those. And it's going to be hard. You know what I mean? We're here today. It's hard. Everything that we've been through, it is hard. But what can we do? We have the privilege. We have we just have privileges of being here. You know, I can travel all over the world and do stuff my ancestors could never do. They can never see Asia. They can never see Germany, all that stuff. I can go anywhere. But I also have the luxury of healing the soul wounds from my ancestors before me. That's a privilege. I'm honored. Sometimes it makes me cry when I'm thinking about that at 2 a.m. But it's like, I could tell you right now is that for me, as a Native American man, as a Yakima man, as a Pyramid Lake Paiute man, I love to prioritize both, but specifically my mental health, because it's like my mind is just as important as my spirit. I think it's my spirit, mind, emotional, physical. That's sort of the order I'm in right now at age 22. But yeah, I'd say definitely that. That's my take on that.
I think that's a good take. I feel like everyone kind of deals with it their own way, but I think that it's okay or it's not okay, but it's important to let people know that we shouldn't be behind closed doors, like keeping those emotions in, that we should let them out and like work on them, fix them, especially with men. Like we kind of talked about a little bit earlier with Donnie, is that, you know, the suicide percentage is kind of high with Native American men. And I think that we need to find ways, whether it's using, you know, your voice or letting our community know to also use their voice to change that. So, and I, you know, applaud you for doing that and using your platform. So, well, I think that's kind of everything that I wanted to talk about. Was there anything else you might want to wrap it up? Any projects you're working on, things that are brewing for you in your future?
Currently, no. I'm just still auditioning and everything. I just finished with school, so these past 4 years have been crazy. Just having to do Rez Ball within that span of 4 years is just like, oh gosh, I was so stressed. I had hair falling out and everything. I obviously got a little chubbier, but like, I think for now it's just focusing on the next chapter in my life. Like, all right, I'm really settling in. Like, what's really next? I'm auditioning right now. I've got a manager and an agent, and so those people are really helpful for me. But kind of just focusing on myself and what's next for me is what I'm doing right now. I think for a lot of Native males, this is something my dad's always preaching to me, and I'm so grateful for my dad. Not a lot of Native kids grow up with their dads, especially males, especially boys. And I've noticed that that's a big thing. That's a big thing in my community, where it's like, I look around and I really think about it. It's like, dang, we don't have our dads. And, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, reasons for that, but just also thinking about the historical reasons of how, you know, they took our kids away from us, and that kind of just made a man feel horrible, because that was his whole duty, was to protect his family. So when we talk about residential schools, you know, that's the history of it. But today, if anyone was listening to this and anyone, you know, doesn't have their dad in their life or has their father in their life and has issues with their father, I would say this, is that I was that person. I didn't really know my dad till I was about 12. I had a bunch of resentment for him, of just, you know, like, I don't know you. You were never there for me. And so I would say that for me, healing is so beautiful because it's like people think healing is so hard, but it is, but like it's so simple in a way of that. I think I'm here right now because of my dad. Like I get emotional about it, but like him putting me like in the acting thing, or him showing me the auditioning thing, because it's like I'm here. And so I think if there's any like Native boys out there, it's like, you know what, if you can't be around your dad, if you can't, you know, see your dad, if your dad's passed away, just be happy that you are a Native male and that someday you will be a father, you will be a dad. And so like, again, like I said, I wouldn't be here for my dad because it's like, because of all the things he's done for me. But definitely I think that Native males need to make sure that it's an honor to be a Native male just as much as it is to be a Native woman. Our women are sacred, but our men are also sacred as well. And so I think we all need to be proud of us just being sacred. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks for kind of adding that perspective, because I think that's a good way to look at it. So
Yeah, thank you for
all right.
having me.
Thank you, and until next time, listeners, catch you later.